Hello everybody! Welcome back to Litty History, in which history is lit and we give out historical facts.
Before we begin, our video is sponsored by Chester the cat.
We love you, Chester!
Women did many things to help out and participate in the war, such as being nurses, soldiers, and spies.
Now let's cut to Grace.
One of these women was Sarah Emma Evelyn Edmonds. She was skilled in many areas of talent that armies needed during the Civil War. At the outbreak of the American Civil War, Sarah Edmonds enlisted in the army under her alias, Frank Thompson. She was part of a volunteer infantry company in Flint, Michigan called Company F, 2nd Michigan Infantry. She fought under her alias in the Battle of Blackburn's Ford, which took place on July 18, 1861, in Fairfax County, Virginia. Only 3 days later, at the First Battle of Bull Run on July 21, 1861, Edmonds served as a nurse and treated soldiers while covering the Union's retreat from the battlefield. She barely escaped capture and returned to her regiment in Washington. For the next several months, she worked as a hospital nurse attendant to help the Union. 8 months later, in March of 1862, Edmonds became a mail carrier for the regiment and then was sent to Virginia with the rest of the 2nd Michigan as part of General McClellan's Peninsula Campaign. McClellan hoped to capture the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia, but failed, and the Union was forced to retreat. During the later months of 1862, Edmonds was asked to become an espionage, though there is no guaranteed proof that she actually ever was one. Memoir books provided entries about being disguised behind enemy lines as a mail contraband and an Irish peddler, which is the only evidence that was ever found. Edmonds left the 2nd Michigan Infantry to Kentucky in April 1863 for unknown reasons. 2 years later, Edmonds wrote a fictional account of her experiences in the Civil War, titled Nurse and Spy in the Union Army, which became extremely popular. A short time before her death, she became the only woman to be mustered into the Grand Army of the Republic as a regular member in Houston, Texas. Without Sarah Edmonds' accomplishments, parts of the Civil War would have gone very differently. Her nursing, fighting, and spying all contributed to the Union's victory of the Civil War. Speaking of spies, let's transition to Evie.
Women were not allowed to participate in the fighting portion of the Civil War, but some served as espionages. For example, Maria Isabella Belle Boyd was a Confederate spy that spied on the Union. She gathered information about Union fortifications, troop movements, and battle plans. She started as a spy when she was 17 years old. Belle Boyd was a very brave woman. For example, on June 4, 1861, she shot a drunk Union soldier. She reported that he came into her home, tore down her Confederate flag, and started to state offensive things to her mother. Belle was only scolded and did not serve a punishment. Isabella's greatest weapon was her beauty and skill flirting. Many Union officers fell for her tricks, unsuspecting of what she really had in mind. Another advantage she had was that the common stereotype that women were not dangerous. When talking to men, they assumed that she couldn't hurt a fly. Belle was very useful to General Stonewall Jackson, for she delivered crucial information that gave the Confederate Army a major advantage. On May 23, 1862, she was staying in a hotel that was taken over by Union soldiers. The Union soldiers in the room next to her were making plans. Maria listened to them through a hole in the door. Once Belle gathered the information, she rode 40 miles on horseback to deliver this information to General Stonewall Jackson. Confederate Major Henry Clyde Douglas described the sight of her on her horse as seeing a romantic maiden who didn't pay attention to neither weeds nor fences as she came on. Her report helped the Confederate Army obtain a victory. Jackson then gave her a thank you note for her work. Soon enough, Boyd became known among the Union soldiers. This led her to being arrested 6 times, imprisoned 3 times, and exiled out of the South once, and then exiled to Canada. When she was exiled to Canada, she left to England and continued her life.
Now it's time for a tea break.
Did you know that Dorothea Dix was one of the first women nurses during the Civil War?
Wow.
No.
Oh.
Well, the Union Army leadership needed more medical staff, so they decided to accept women into nursing positions. She was actually one of the first superintendents in the Union Army, and she was appointed June 1861.
Cool. That's cool.
She appointed 3,000 nurses to work under her, and that's pretty lit.
And
That's
that's what we
Here
call
on Liddy
Liddy history.
Thank you. Anybody else got some facts?
I don't got some facts. Okay, well, you have a fact.
Hey, did you know more than 400 women disguised themselves as men and fought in the Union and Confederate armies during the Civil War?
Wow.
That's pretty lit.
Well, that's all we got for tea time today. Most nurses before the Civil War were male. However, during the Civil War, the Union Army realized that they needed more people in the medical field and hired women, just as we discussed in tea time. Florence Nightingale was chosen, and she helped wounded surgeons on the battlefield. Doretha Dix was also chosen. Doretha Dix was really similar to Florence Nightingale because she also helped ill patients. When Florence Nightingale wasn't on the battlefield, she fed patients, wrote letters, read, and prayed. Overall, Florence Nightingale and Doretha Dix both made history by opening up the profession of nursing to more women.
But women didn't always dress as men and fight or go undercover. Some were nurses on and off the battlefield. During the Civil War, Clara Barton helped to distribute the needed supplies to the Union Army. She later realized that distributing the supplies was not enough. She wanted to actively help out and be in the battlefield to help the wounded. Barton founded the American Red Cross in 1881 with the help of her influential friends such as Frederick Douglass. She was the president of the Red Cross for 23 years until she resigned in 1904 at the age of 83. Barton served in the First Battle of Bull Run, the Second Battle of Bull Run, the Battle of Culpeper, or the Battle of Cedar Mountain, the Battle of Chantilly, the Battle of South Mountain in Maryland, and the Battle of Fredericksburg. You know, without Clara Barton, we wouldn't have the Red Cross today. So thank you, Clara Barton.
We hope you enjoy.
Bye!
You want to? Yeah.
You filming?
Hello, everybody.
I'm good. Okay, 1, 2, 3. One of these women was Sarah Emma Evelyn Edmonds.